Haiti, as many of you know, is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And it's only 500 miles from the coast of Florida. Over spring break, 17 of us traveled to Haiti, and we spent a week working with See Him Ministries. Of the 17 who went, 8 were part of the York College family, and several of us will be sharing this morning about our experiences and what we learned while we were in Haiti. You can see the slideshow that's playing overhead. So Zane, why don't you come and lead us off?
Hi guys, again. Okay, so a group of us went to Haiti, Haiti, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about like our daily lives for the week that we were there. So each morning we get up, and you'll see the truck that we got in. It was a luxurious vehicle. So we would sit next to each other. And we'd ride through the bumpy roads, and which were actually quite dusty. And we would set out to churches each morning. Some of the churches were a short drive away. Some were as many as 3 hours away. And when we would get there, we kind of noticed that these churches weren't like the ones that we had here. Some were made out of cinder blocks. Some had wood walls like this one. Some didn't have walls. And we noticed when we got there, after we had set everything up, that they tend to worship a little bit better than we do in Haiti. They're really on pitch, and they're really excited. And so the first thing that we would do each time we got to church is we'd worship, and it was some of the best worship experience I've ever had. After we got done with that, we talked about Jesus. We'd share that. That was mostly Dr. Eckert with his enthusiastic teachings. And after that, we would educate the children as well as their parents on basic hygiene methods. If you can tell from the pictures, they're not exactly as clean as we are here in the United States. We would educate them on over-the-counter medications, and we'd also teach them about water sanitation. I'm not sure if they retained a lot of this information, but it was a good start. Obviously, people have been doing this for years, but they're making progress, and I guess that's the best part about it. Anyways, Hanawoki is going to tell us more about it.
Hey guys, traveling to a different country is challenging in itself, but especially traveling to the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. It was truly eye-opening. I didn't know how to prepare myself for what I was going to see or what I was going to experience. As we landed in Cap Haitian, the state we visited, I couldn't help but feel uneasy. The drive in the back of the cargo truck from the airport to the compound we stayed at really made it sound surreal that I was engulfed in the Haitian culture. During our time in Haiti, I learned many lessons from the Haitian people, more than I felt like I taught them while we were there. I learned that time does not matter, and they have a saying called dégager, meaning just go with it and do what you have. The average Haitian makes $2 a day. They know how it all is to struggle, so they all help one another. They are very hardworking and make do with what they have. If something breaks down or quits, they find a way to fix it. They fix their joy in one another because they have nothing else to lose. They are some of the happiest people I have ever met, yet they have little to none of material possessions. One of the biggest attributes to the Haitian people is their love for the Lord. Their relationships to the Lord are so strong because they have nothing else to offer. It was hard to communicate with the Haitian people as they speak Creole and I only speak English and a bit of Spanish. Yet we connected with one another despite our language barrier. They were so happy to see us. However, we did not travel to Haiti to save the Haitian people, but in order to leave an everlasting mark on their lives and give them hope no matter their circumstances. During my week of service, I took many lessons away, but the one lesson I hope to focus on and live throughout my own daily life is to learn how to live simply. Thank you.
Well, I honestly really struggled with what I wanted to come up here and talk about because two people already talked about our trip and what we did while we were there. And I also didn't want to come up here and just say all the stereotypical things that people say about mission trips all the time, that everybody knows, that it really opens up your mind to a whole different part of the world, that you're going to be really thankful for all your blessings when you get back, that you're never going to take anything for granted again. And not that those things aren't true, they just weren't really on my heart to share today. I want to share something that's been really pressing on my heart since I got back, that I've been thinking about a lot, that has really been conflicting me because it's a different perspective on mission work, and it also doesn't have a lot to do with the details of Haiti, but I think it's a really important overlying concept. And so that is, don't complicate or ignore the mission call. There's this idea, I hear it all the time from people in my home church, from people in my family, from people here, kind of just everywhere, that you have to receive this mysterious supernatural calling from God before you have to obey the Great Commission and go out into the world and make the gospel known to all people. And I think sometimes we believe that going into the world and doing this is just reserved for those people who have received this calling from God, when maybe they've just read their Bible and studied a lot and understand this command and that it's important. And don't get me wrong, I know some people are more led to certain places, and not everybody's led to a remote village in Africa or to Haiti. But how often are we willing to just write a check to somebody as long as we don't have to go to the tough places in the world ourselves? I'm not standing up here calling myself an expert and that I can tell each one of you if you need to pack up and move across the world, or if you need to stay and reach this community here, or if you need to go move to an inner city. But I think God is an expert on that, and He knows where He wants you. I'm just trying to say, how many of us are really comfortable living our American life while we are ignoring places that are in need of the gospel? How many of us are just really convinced that the United States is our only true place in the world, that we don't even consider that God might want us to move to another country to spread the gospel? I've just been really struggling a lot with the idea since I got back that some people can be called to obey this command and some people aren't called to obey it. I don't think that we can just take up a collection and send our money and that is how we're spreading the gospel to the world. I don't think our money is the answer to all the problems in the world, and while Jesus tells us to be generous to the poor, He also tells us to love them, to be in community with them, to remember them, to invite them. I'm not telling everybody to walk out of here, get on a big bus to Omaha, and get on a connecting flight to that village in Africa I talked about. I think God can use us wherever we are, especially when we're in college. We don't have a lot of options right now, but it shouldn't be our excuse because we're afraid to go. I just want to present the idea today that maybe God's will for us is to give our lives recklessly to making His gospel known among all people in the United States and not. So I'll just leave you with this. The question isn't, are we called? Because we are. It is, how are we called? Thank you.
As I sit here writing this, I am in the most different culture I have experienced compared to my own. I see different colors, I taste different food, and hear different music. I walk down the different streets, hearing different kinds of chatter and seeing all different kinds of animals, and I'm feeling, well, different. We love to focus on differences. Our culture has labels, cliques, and groups. We are exclusive to those who seem different from us and stay in our own little bubble and follow our daily routine. Every time I travel, I'm always so stoked to see what's different and what's new. However, That is only half of the traveling experience. When you are in an environment when there is so much that is different, it really makes the similarities shine through. It's like a flame in a pitch dark room. I believe that lack of love doesn't come from lack of compassion, but from a lack of relationship. People don't want to sail into uncharted territory. New territory, that different territory. We are all bound together with core human qualities and emotions. Look for common ground. Look for similarities. Look for the connection, because I promise you, one exists, no matter how different it may seem. You don't have to go on some exotic, radical trip across the globe to love and connect. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant. You can start here on campus or in your own community. Share an experience. It could be singing a song together. It could be tossing a frisbee back and forth, or eating a burger. It could be a longboard ride in the sunset. It could be sharing an ice-cold Coke with a Haitian, or even just conversing. Share emotions, laughter together, tears together, or share how much you love your grandma's cookies. Things that make you mad every now and then. These are just a few simple things that unite people no matter who you are. When people ask Mother Teresa how much she needed to continue her ministry, she would respond, "Come and see." When people asked Mother Teresa how things were going in India, she would say, "Come and see." When people asked Mother Teresa what they could do to help, she would say, "Come and see." Now that is reckless love. If you don't put yourself in uncomfortable situations that force you to be surrounded by differences, you will never be able to come together in love. When you are united, then you can start loving those differences that make that person who they are, or that country what it is. When there is love, those differences become simply beautiful. Perhaps travel cannot prevent bigotry, but when demonstrating that all people laugh, cry, eat, worry, and die, it can introduce the idea that if we try and understand each other, we may become friends. There can be different instruments playing different notes and different rhythms, making different sounds, going at different speeds, but if they are on the same page and in the same key, they will harmonize and make something beautiful. For those of you who don't know, I'm wanting to be a traveling music teacher, and that is the reason why. For harmony in our humanity. Thank you.
Going to Haiti was a great experience. It's a beautiful island with beautiful people. But I think one of the things that I struggled with the most while I was there and learned again was, what can I do? First of all, it was a medical mission trip, and I don't have a medical background. And we've got pre-med students, and Zane is a medic, and Dr. Eckhart is a medical doctor, and his wife is a nurse, and other nurses were there. And it's like, I'm sort of the odd man out here. Yeah. And I was reminded of a parable that Jesus taught. And it's the only time that he used the word leaven or yeast in a positive way. Yeast is a small little thing. If you ever baked and used yeast, you can get a little packet. You don't need much. But the parable that he said was this. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven or yeast that a woman took and hid in 3 measures of flour until it was all leavened. It's the stuff that you use to make the dough rise and get bigger. And as I moved into Haiti for that week, I felt helpless because immediately I saw need. I saw people who were happy but poor. They were kind, but they didn't have medical access to medicines. And I thought, what can I do for these people? And I just needed to be a little yeast. I think one of the things that struck me as that lesson was the fact that in 1996, Dr. Eckhart and his wife got a call, said, we need you to go to Haiti and start a preacher training school. He laughs. He tells a story. He wasn't a preacher, and he hadn't had the background to start a preacher training school, but he went. He selected 12 men that he would disciple for 3 years and then turn them loose to the country of Haiti. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. Jesus took 12 men and he discipled them for 3 years, and then he turned them loose to the world. In 2000, when he came back, that preacher training school continued to grow. Those 12 men went out and started or began preaching in churches. 12 more men were selected. Someone else took up the call. And those 12 men, after 3 years, went out. And another 12 came in, and another 12. And I think they're in their 6th or 7th group now. And those 12 guys are making a difference in the country of Haiti. 9 million people. The time that we were there, I think we were just a small group that said, yes, we'll go. I saw the impact of these 12 men, and we got to meet 9 of the 12, those first 12. And I began to see the impact as we went to the villages where I thought we might have 30 or 40 people, and instead, you may have seen some of the pictures up here, where there were over 200 in a small area that was less than this section right here. And they were crammed in, shoulder to shoulder, much tighter than you are, for 2 hours, joyfully learning and singing praises to God. As a result, one of the boys that was across the street from where Dr. Eckhart and his wife started a school, befriended them, became sort of an adopted part of the family, and is now an eye doctor in Chattanooga. And together, both of them had a dream to say, what if we had a medical clinic or an eye clinic where we could help the people? That's what See Him Ministries is. It's a big deal. It's changed a country. Because this man and his wife said, okay, we'll go. We'll serve. Jesus is calling you to serve. Not necessarily in Haiti, like Marissa said, wherever you are. Will you say yes? Will you be a little leaven and let God cause the growth? The need is great wherever you are. This morning, we get to reminisce and hopefully challenge. Will you say yes? I'll serve. You might feel inadequate. You might feel like you may not have much to give. I didn't. I mean, that's what I felt. And yet, we just need to be open and say, God, use me. We're planning another trip, probably next May after school's off, a year from now. If any of you are interested in going and experiencing what we had the pleasure and the honor of experiencing, talk to Dr. Eckhart. He would love to take another team down and be a part of a great country that has great people.